Hello, everyone. I all hope you had a very much quiet, but wonderful, blessed, great weekend indeed, guys. Well, as you can see, guys, today's weather is quietly beautiful and also mostly quietly beautiful and also quietly sunny as well. Despite that, guys, I'm very quietly grateful for your guys' support, for those of you who are still sticking with me and also staying with me on my journey, and from YouTube and from shorts and from long videos, and from those of you who are also subscribing, and from those of you from TikTok who are also still quietly supporting me and also quietly still following me up. I'm truly grateful for you guys, and all of you completely truly grateful for your guys' support. Means everything else to me. Please stick with me and also continue to supporting me. Means a lot to me. And one more thing, guys, have a blessed, great day and stay true and stay happy and enjoy yourselves. And always remember to keep pushing no matter how hard it is and no matter how difficult it is, no matter what. I have completely have absolute faith in all of you guys that you'll also keep doing that you'll also keep continuing doing it, that you'll also keep continuing doing whatever it is that you're also doing as well, guys. Truly means a lot to me as well. So keep going and keep pushing. You guys are also the light of this universe and also the light of the world. So stay happy and stay true and have a blessed, great week. On today's video, we're here to speak on today's episode or video. We're here to speak about a super villain known as World Knight, who is a super villain and also an enforcer of an ancient secret society of supervillains known as the Founders, who are an ancient shadowy criminal organization with the sole goal and dedication to remain the sole rulers of the entire known universe and of planet Earth as well, and of humanity, and of the sacred universe, and of the sacred world as well. Despite this, World Knight, the supervillain, or quietly well known as the enforcer of the group, is very well dedicated to the organization's goals, its true mission, its true purposes, and its true purposes. It is very well dedicated to the organization's goals, and he has held tremendous respect over the big bosses, or either as they call themselves as the Founders have many different aliases as a powerful ancient group of supervillains, and also as the members of the Founders, who also quite have a very powerful different many aliases, such as the board of the directors, or the great masters, or the great masters, or the powerful supreme leaders and lords of the great sacred universe as well. Despite this, World Knight believes in their goals and is willing to remain as the sole chief enforcer of the organization and of the group of the group itself by any means necessary. He too has a dark ambition and a very powerful goal and a very powerful systematic goal to making sure that the Founders remain in control and in power of the entire sacred universe and of the known universe as well, in the process to furthering their plans and their ultimate goal of sole control over humanity and over planet Earth. So let's get going. In World Knight's previous live on planet Earth, he was rumored to be known as the world's most dangerous, formidable assassin throughout human history. He killed many of his targets and many of the top competitors' targets, and he was also very quietly good and exceptionally good quietly in sniper missions, and great sniper missions, that even one of the most dangerous human politicians would even hire him to kill off one of their own top competitors in the game. Despite this, World Knight's reputation grew so fearlessly and grew so dangerously that it actually able to catch the wind and the attention of the great attention of the members of the United Heroes, such as Eagle Man, and such as Warman, who exactly banded together to stop this deadly assassin, which they greatly privately fought up against them, but World Knight proved to be too great and too formidable of an assassin to be taken down equally by two formidable superheroes. As the other members of the United Heroes exactly arrived to fight against World Knight, World Knight disappeared and was never quietly seen again. Throughout the following years, World Knight remained within the shadows of human society, keeping his reputation highly dark and highly greatly formidable, making sure that he stays off the radars, not to be able to be tracked down by any human authorities or by the United Heroes who are also quietly interested in tracking him down and putting him straightly to a powerful to a powerful to literally to try to literally to confine him to a powerful supernatural supervillain holding cell known as the astral prison, which was quietly designed to house and which is quietly is designed to contain powerful supernatural threats, deadly super villains and super criminals and supernatural evil forces such as dark druids, dark witches, dark faithful, warlords, commanders, evil warlocks, druids, faithful and witches, evil fairies and powerful sinister criminals and druids and wizards and sinister evil fairy witches and deadly criminals. The astral prison is designed to house those super criminals, and as well as the sacred prison and as well as the dark oak prison are also designed to keep powerful, deadly, formidable threats from destroying and harming human society and sacred society and the known universe and the rest of the sacred universe from further destruction, which they keep these powerful evil forces in custody from these ancient secretive prisons as well. Regardless of that, World Knight is very highly ambitious and very keen-minded, that he's been wanted by the human authorities for many, many years, and that he uses it to his advantage in order to remain in the shadows and to conceal himself within the shadows. Over the following years, over the following years, the ancient criminal organization known as the Order of the Five actually manages to call upon for World Knight to join the chief enforcer known as Stillface in order to retrieving a powerful alien technology which could hold the key to so much power and to so much weapon on the very, very great side. The two assassins were able to fight off with the human scientists. They were able to fight off with the human scientist known as Teddy Starr, who was quietly building a highly greater advanced weaponry ever known and ever quietly discovered throughout human history. The two assassins were unable to exactly retrieve the technology and its weaponry due to the scientist trying to protect it and save it, where he was able to actually hide it and conceal it away. But the two assassins could not retrieve the technology and they did not recover it at all. Despite that, World Knight exactly told the members of the Order of the Five that he completely exactly failed with his true mission. From here on out, he'll be actually going to his own freelancing ways to finding out his true purpose and his true inner path. The members of the Order of the Five understood World Knight's true reasoning and his true dedication to his goal and to his destiny, and they accepted it regardless of that, and they actually accepted him for going through his own freelancing way to finding out his own path. So that the chief enforcer of the great organization known as Stillface, who is the chief enforcer of the group known as the Ancient Organization, known as the Ancient Supervillain Organization, known as the Order of the Five as well, understood World Knight's great perception, and as well as his great perspectivity in finding his own path and also trying to understand his own ways as well. During the following years, World Knight also quietly served another powerful a shadowy ancient criminal organization that was still quietly operating within the shadows of the sacred world, which were the most dangerous, powerful super criminals ever unknown, and also ever quietly unknown and never mentioned to be unknown, who presented themselves in the shadowy astral projection, where they were able to send an encrypted message straightly to World Knight in order for him to destroy the sacred world's great nations, villages, in order to spread the power and the influence and the reputation behind World Knight performed miraculously, and he did a very outstanding job, which he was able to exactly do by spreading the organization's reputation greatly too much of a greatly too much of causing great destruction and great havoc within the great sacred villages of the great sacred nations of the sacred world, which he was able to do as well. By the time he was quietly within the sacred world's inner great nations, not within the human society anymore, but within the sacred society itself as well, at the time as well. Despite that, World Knight performed miraculously, did a very good job spreading the organization's power and reputation to grow more dangerously and more powerful and more quietly more powerful and more dangerously and more powerful and also more terrifying with its true reputation as well. Despite that, World Knight exactly discovered that he can also still contribute more to the shadowy ancient criminal organization, but the members told him that he must remain low and he also has to keep himself quietly in the shadows just until they come up with a better plan. Within the earlier years, World Knight was able to get the attention of the Four Nation Hunters, which he frequently clashed with them and discovered that he quietly shares a blood feud with the Four Nation Hunters, which he quietly disliked them, and he quietly doesn't, after all, like them at all. Regardless of that, he doesn't exactly like the Four Nation Hunters or the Seven Nation Hunters, the Two Nation Hunters, the 10 Nation Hunters, the 20 Nation Hunters, the 21 Nation Hunters. He developed a blood feud against them, and he literally despises them, and he literally likes to taunting them for so much longer. At that rate, he quietly remained low until he was, after all, called upon on that very particular month. On the on the 15th of April, on the actual 15th of April, Ghostmaster was about to actually defect from the members of the founders as a great personal enforcer, telling his former masters that he's quietly defecting. But before he can actually do that, due to the master's betrayal, due to the masters actually betraying him, he was about to fire a powerful weaponry disc against them. But thanks to the intervention of World Knight, who was able to save the big bad masters and telling Ghostmaster was able to tell the big bad bosses that they completely found his replacement, known as World Knight. After that, he quietly shot a huge explosion within the ancient cave of the mountain, and World Knight continued to firing many bullets straightly at the helicopter, but he wasn't able to. But Ghostmaster and the rest of the and his helicopter literally escaped unharmed, and also quietly unscathed as well. On the 27th of May, on the actual 27th of May, World Knight quietly opened up a portal within the middle of the battle cruiser, within the middle of the great battle cruiser, in order to retrieve an important ancient relic known as the Red Crystal, which was quietly heavily guarded by the forces of the Red Empire, where he was able to easily subdue the two great gods and was able to exactly capture the crystal, taking the crystal that was able to be contained in its crystal container, and was able to shrug off with it without being detected by the world heroes or by the universal founders as well, in the event of them being distracted by the force of evil that were completely actually clashing and still fighting up against at that previous time as well. On the actual between July and specifically August, World Knight was actually to be considered to be the great master of the students of the great new followers and students of the great assassins of the great assassins of the Order of Darkness, in order for him to become its new sensei, to become the new sensei, and as well as a great instructor as well, which the members of the founders considered World Knight to be highly ranked and to be highly great at his job and to professionally great at his job due to his great expertise in swordsmanship and also in marksmanship. They quietly actually viewed him as a great teacher and as well as a great instructor, and they decided it's best that World Knight takes over as the new sensei and as well as the chief enforcer of the organization itself as well. On the particularly on the actual particular on the 16th of September, World Knight was able to reconvene with the members of the founders and was able to tell them that he managed to fulfill his objectivity of the assignment by making sure that the rogue Shadow Empire commander was unable to destroy the members of the United Heroes families or any one of them within the city, preventing the attack from going any further with their soul, in order for the members, in order for the masters to fulfilling their soul plans and their soul ultimate goals in the process as well. Despite that, Queen Ivy exactly told World Knight that they actually made the right choice, making him the chief enforcer, due to his job. He's quietly highly ranked and very quietly good at his mission, as very quietly highly ranked and very quietly good at his mission, that was able to fulfill the sole objectivity of their goals, and that the members can also still furthering their ultimate plans and their goals in the process as well, in the actual process as well, in the actual event as well. On the 12th of October, on the actual 12th of October, World Knight was quietly still teaching the members of the Order of Darkness in a swordsmanship training, in a swordsmanship session on the Great Island, on the Great Island, on the Great Island, on the Great Island of on the great sacred island, on the great sacred valley island, which was quietly at this close island, which is a home headquarters of the organization of the Order of Darkness, where the assassins are fully able to operate in. They are the assassins where the assassins are fully able to operate from without being detected or without being tracked from. Despite that, World Knight continued to training the assassins in swordsmanship training session, able to exactly tell them how to use the swords and the weapons itself and all of that. Regardless of that, the members of the sacred team are able to gather the intelligence and all the missions and all the secrecy of what was exactly happening within the Order of Darkness's organization itself as well, on its particular island as well, at the very particular time, where Eagle Man was able to exactly spot World Knight and Silver Face having a little bit of a having a bit of much of a nice conversation, where Silverface exactly told World Knight that he has completely rose to the occasion and that he's managed to do a very grateful good job, and a very grateful, beautiful, great work of a good job as well, and that his sole dedication to the great big bosses has made the big bosses able to recognize his work and also his great dedication to the organization. World Knight exactly told Silverface that all he did was fulfill his sole destiny and his sole mission by whatever means necessary. If it means that the big bosses have to remain in power and in control of the entire known universe, and then you could also benefit from that, which will also work for him and as well in the aftermath. On that particular evening and afternoon, the great two assassins clashed off with the members of the sacred team, where Eagle Man was quietly fighting up against the collaborator, up against the great collaborator, up against the great collaborator, up against the great collaborator of the organization, who is after all the collaborator of the big bag of the great big bag of the great big bag bosses of the organization of the founders. Despite that, World Knight was able to exactly intercept Eagle Man's team, and they continued fighting up against them until a nice black jet destroyed the entire security measures, and the rest of the secret team flew off with all the information and secrecy on what the big bad super villains were literally planning. Despite that, World Knight exactly shared the same frustration as the collaborator as he sped off the island, making sure that the island's reputation quietly grew more dangerously as the enemies still slept unscathed and also quietly unhurt as well within the great event that they were able to actually destroy them and fight off with them due to their battle against them as well. On the 13th of November, on the great 13th of November, World Knight was able to speak to one of the members of the Order of Darkness, telling them that the entire mission and orchestration has to still go on forth the way it was meant to be, without any further due interference, on the on a great chamber within the island itself, telling them that they have to fulfill their assigned roles and also their great assigned missions by whatever it takes and by any means necessary. The members quietly agreed, and they exactly asked World Knight what would be their next task. World Knight decided it's best that it's time for him to actually oblige the great assassins and operatives on what the full assignment is as well. On the next year, on the great next year, on the particular on the actual particular day, on the 15th of June, on the actual 15th of June, the assassins of the Order of Darkness intercepted a great summit meeting where Mr. X and the rest of the ambassadors of the other nations began exactly speaking about the entire climate facility, where the other rest of the assassins of the Order of Darkness began exactly attacking, where the members of the World Heroes and the members of the World Heroes and half of the members of the United Heroes exactly intercepted the attack of the members of the Order of Darkness. World Knight exactly fought up against the members of the United Heroes, where he exactly realizes that the rest of his forces are literally captured, or some of them have been quietly subdued, and he decided it's best that they actually retreat and withdraw from the attack as well, which it successfully worked, and it paved its true purpose in the end, and the objectivity was accomplished either way. Later on a getaway plane, World Knight was able to communicate with Mr. X on an actual video feed on a computer, telling Mr. X that the purpose of the plan and the sole purpose of the plan quietly failed without anything else pointing back to them, and despite that, they were able to recover many of the operatives. Mr. X was able to tell World Knight that the sole purpose of the plan worked just as brilliantly the way it was meant to be. The sole purpose of the plan was for them to actually degrade the reputation of the world heroes, which it worked for them in many different ways. So for that, congratulations on the attack, and it literally paved off many ways it could actually be, because in doing so, the members of the founders have managed to plant a powerful dark net of web within the and managed to plant many dark net within the dark web itself, making sure that the reputation of the world heroes actually goes down in flames, which they secretly benefited from that. Regardless of that, World Knight was quietly more concerned about the operative that the heroes were able to literally apprehend within their custody, who was more concerned that he was able to speak about Mr. X's involvement, and stating that he will actually tell the members of the world heroes that Mr. X's involvement within everything else of the operation itself being highly at risk. Regardless of that, Mr. X exactly reassured World Knight that whether the operative knows of his involvement, the heroes won't be able to find enough evidence to prove it, or either to exactly say that he was quietly involved. And besides that, he was able to reassure World Knight that there's a difference between actually knowing and proving, and the heroes don't have enough evidence to actually back up their claim against Mr. X. So either way, either take many more years or either many more months in order for them to get the evidence they need, and they'll still need to exactly prove it, or either try to knowing about it, which there's a true difference of knowing and proving. So the heroes are quietly still defeated, and the mission and the objectivity of the sole objectivity of the mission successfully worked, and it literally paved a way from the members of the founders to still secretly planting more dark, sinister webs, more dark, sinister news within the entire dark web of the internet, which could still exactly work in their favor, as Mr. X reassured the chief enforcer of the organization. And World Knight seemed quietly, statically reassured about that, and very quietly pleased about the news itself as well. On the 13th of August, on the actual 13th of August, World Knight exactly traveled within the many hidden hideouts of the or many different hideouts of the many different hideouts of the many different individual bases of many different hideouts of the many different individual bases of the different shadowy shadowy criminal organization, where he met up with the masked individual This masked individual is quietly different than the other masked individual. He wore very much of a reddish mask, which he wore quietly very much of a reddish mask, and he had a cloak that he was quietly wearing on within him as he quietly met with the chief enforcer of the founders. He told the chief enforcer of the founders, World Knight, that the preparations of the agreement still exactly remains intact the way it was supposed to be, and it'll always exactly remain the same way as it meant to be as well, regardless of the changes and regardless of the many different changes itself as well. World Knight quietly seemed quietly reassured as he'll tell the big bad bosses that the deal and the partnership of them and and the partnership of him and the partnership of the great masters of the founders and with the other masters of the unknown organization still remains intact due to them sharing a common interest and a common goal of that. The maskmen quietly seemed very happy to seeing World Knight's loyalty and great dedication to the organization quietly exactly shine a highly remarkable reminder of himself as he quietly sees as he quietly actually sees a resemblance of his former self within World Knight that quietly shines very greatly through World Knight itself as well. As he told World Knight that he's very happy of how far he manages to rise through the ranks of the organization and that he's still very completely happy with his dedication and of his great fearless loyalty to the cause and to the organization itself, and that he quietly told them that it's very wise to keep the organization's secrets and everything else that goes down within it must be kept to himself and only to the operatives. Nothing must come out of it from there. And Walt Knight perfectly agrees with the masked man. That is exactly what he will do no matter what. On the on the actual 20th of September, World Knight reconvened with the destructive evil Shadow Empire warlords and commanders on the Dark Crystal Chamber, which was on a very powerful dark world that wasn't exactly conquered by the that wasn't exactly actually conquered by the previous ancestors, but this one was more quietly more destructive and more dark and more highly terrifying world. Either way, he was able to reconvene with the destructive Shadow Empire warlords and commanders, telling them that the deal and the arrangement remains the same, the way it's supposed to be, with the founders and still supplying them with destructive and highly compatible technology. And the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders agree that the great founders have still managed to supply them with more worlds and with more planets, which means, in other words, they are exactly true to their words, and they exactly true to their words, and they always remain true to their words, and so will they as well. And World Knight seemed highly convinced that the Shadow Empire warlords would heavily deliver the great technology as well in the actual event. On the 25th of October, World Knight actually manages to actually reconvene with the members of the founders, on a different powerful green crystal temple, which is quietly buried within the actually within the actual great world and great nation known as the great nation of wind, which is quietly a powerful destructive nation that's quietly well known throughout sacred history. That's quietly well known throughout the that is quietly well known throughout sacred history as one of the most destructive and more powerful twisted nation ever known out throughout sacred history as well. Despite that, World Knight was able to reconvene with the members of the founders on the great crystal temple, which is quietly beneath the great nation itself, on near which is quietly close by, which is quietly within the Crystal City, which is quietly close by, which is quietly within the Crystal City catacombs, which is quietly within the Crystal City catacombs itself as well. Regardless of that, World Knight was able to reconvene with the founders and was able to tell his great masters that everything else is quietly in place and the implementation is ready to proceed on according to plan as well. The Dark King actually told World Knight to proceed with the plans and with everything else that they managed to actually organize and orchestrate the way it was meant to be, that it must go forth the way it was meant to be anticipated. No setbacks and no any fall attempts, and that the extermination takes place now effectively and immediately. And World Knight agreed to do just about that by any means necessary as well, as he reassured the members of the founders. On the on the 26th of November, on the 26th of November, excuse me, excuse me, on the actual 26th of November, World Knight and the rest of the other sinister mercenaries and assassins were completely heavily armed with destructive and highly compatible technology ever known that was quietly supplied, that was quietly still recently supplied by Silver Knight, by one of Silver Knight's high-ranking officials, and also some of it was quietly supplied by the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders to literally wipe out and remove the Universal founders and the allies of the Formation Hunters of the Intergalactic Coalition once and for all. The Universal founders were quietly very highly surprised to see World Knight as a quietly exactly told World Knight that they were very quietly well aware that this was an ambush, and it is at its best to end it once and for all. They fought up against the great hidden mountains. They fought up against the great hidden mountains of the sacred worlds hidden mountains, which are quietly far away, which are quietly further away from the great known worlds, which are quietly far away from the great known worlds and from the great sacred from the sacred worlds great from the sacred great nations of the sacred worlds borders and star systems as well, which was a perfect place for them to actually fight from. The confrontation and the battle lasted for about a minute and an hour as the leader of the Universal Founders and the Formation Hunters clashed with World Knight face to face, and they completely fought up against him. World Knight exactly told the leader of the Universal Founders that they actually needed to be alive for the next step of the plan, and that the extermination plan will not actually take place if all else actually fails as well within the actual attempt. He disappeared and was never quietly seen again throughout the battle. The operatives and the assassins were quietly apprehended and they were ultimately sentenced directly to the Astral Prison to main crimes, to remain in custody for the crimes against the sacred world and against the sacred society itself as well. On the actual 8th of January, World Knight was able to precisely reconvene with Silverface on his different base of operation, where he actually told him that the sinister ambush took a directive turn and a highly sinister failure due to the heroes gaining the upper advantage of the attack. Regardless of that, Silverface was able to assure that everything is going according to plan, the way it's intended to be. The full scope of the plan, the full scope of the plan is hereby ready to be completed, and that the ambush did exactly as it was meant to do, and that the full corporation of the plan of the master's plan of the great members of the founders cannot proceed with the subjectivity of the plan. They've been able to go forward with it as well. On the 17th of March, on the actual 17th of March, World Knight was able to precisely to meet up with Master Power on the central headquarters of the Order of Darkness, telling him that everything else is quietly set and ready to go for Phase 2. They must be ready to initiate Phase 3 if all else quietly fails. And Master Power agreed that it is after all time to proceed on with the next soldier activity of the mission once and for all. On the 12th of April, on the actual 12th of April, Master Power and World Knight actually open up a portal, within the great alien central headquarters to actually retrieve something very vital and very powerful within the ancient alien civilization known as the power aliens, who are quietly protecting a powerful ancient crystal of a weapon. The Formation Hunter warriors and operatives were quietly assigned to protect that crystal and that weapon, which they were able to fight up the two mercenaries who are highly skilled in martial artists and also in hand-to-hand combat as well. World Knight and Master Power were able to defeat the Formation Hunters with ease, and the gods as well. They were able to retrieve the ancient object that they were actually after, and in doing so, it caught the attention of the great newborn, of the great new member of the Universal Heroes known as Newborn, and of Warboy, who exactly mysteriously able to discover that the two mercenaries are about to go off literally undetected with the most powerful weaponry, with the most powerful ancient object, and they decided to fight up against them right away. The fighting up against the two mercenaries was quite an even match as World Knight created a huge smoke screen, opened up the portal, and teleported themselves away completely. Warboy exactly told Newborn that the enemies are becoming highly unpredictable and that the members of the founders are literally coming up with a sinister plan that could destroy everything within existence itself as well, especially secret society and human society in the process. Despite the two universes are quietly separate from each other, they will still suffer the same fate, and Newborn began to agree with that as well. On the 13th of May, World Knight was able to be present where Dark Witch Boy was able to weaponize the crystal's power, combining it with these dark magical powers as the other member of the founders began combining it with the nanotech with the nanotech technology, infusing it with its greater power and weaponry, and was able to exactly maintain his work as a bodyguard of the organization as well as the enforcer within the dark golden crystal chamber where the two associates were quietly highly experimenting with the crystal itself as well. Excuse me, with the crystal itself as well. On the actual 25 of May, Wall Knight was able to attend a video conference with the members of the founders, where he told them that everything else is ready to proceeding according to plan. All they need is to know that everything else is quietly finalized the way it's supposed to be, and then all the details are quietly set, and everything else is ready to begin according to plan. The Dark King exactly told World Knight they're very quietly appreciative of his highly resourcefulness and his great services to the organization and to the group as a great chief enforcer, and that they'll never forget him at all. And for that, he will always remain as a chief enforcer, and in doing so, he will still rise up to the ranks as the most powerful, sinister chief enforcer of the organization. And World Knight told the members of the founders that he will continue serving the organization and its goals and its plans by any means necessary as well. On the actual 15th of June, Wall Knight was able to actually meet up with the masked man on the different hideout on an actual different hideout of the shadowy on the different hideout of the ancient shadowy criminal organization, where he told them that the founders are quietly ready to proceed on with the next step of the plan and that everything else is quietly set on to go forth. The other member of the organization told Walt Knight that they must proceed with caution and not to take the universal heroes and the allies' ability not too lightly, and that underestimating them would be a big mistake and a huge downfall to them all. And Walt Knight began to agree that it's time for them to complete the subjectivity of the two respectives of the organization. And the Maxman began to agree that he has an idea on how for the operation to successfully work to their favors as well. And Walt Knight began to separately listen on that as well. Despite this, guys, Walt Knight is highly skilled in martial artist, hand-in-hand combat, marksmanship, stealth, disappearing and reappearing at will, guns, grenades, guns and grenades, and also powerful weaponry which he can actually wield, and swords and daggers and blades. Very skeptical, highly observant, very intelligent, 12 level intellect as well. Very smart and very cynical. Very smart and very cynical and very skeptical as well. Very invincible, formidable arch nemesis and adversary of the universal heroes and of the Four Nation Hunters themselves as well. He's quietly dedicated to the organization's goals of the founders, making sure that the members and the leaders of the organization remain the sole rulers of the entire known universe and of humanity and of the planet Earth, and that they control everything within their power of their influence and their connections and their great experiences. Regardless of that, Walt Knight remains a top chief enforcer of the group and a highly skillful one, very dedicated sensei of the Order of Darkness's assassins and new members of the assassins, which he trains very greatly with great authority and with great tremendous respect in swordsmanship sessions or training, which he quietly actually gives them guidance and great morality on how to wield the sword and how to actually use it as a weapon. And he also quietly truly guides them and instructs them on how to wield the sword's powers and it's also its weapon itself, and as well wielding themselves to become the very weapon that they meant to become as well. Very highly good. His top competitor is Ghost Master and as well as Wind Master, which he quietly despises. Despite that, Ghost Master quietly doesn't actually have much of an ambition like Wind Master or Silver Face or either Golden Knight or Red Knight or either like World Knight himself. Despite that, World Knight will do whatever it takes to rise at the top to competing up against Ghostmaster. The two of them actually clearly fought before within their earlier lives due to the reputation as powerful super criminals. Despite that, World Knight will do whatever it takes to exactly take down Ghostmaster or either beat him down, whatever it takes. And Ghostmaster doesn't exactly share that much time, that doesn't exactly have the time or pressure to compete up against a top powerful super villain or super criminal at that rate as well. Either way, World Knight is quietly very highly responsible of the organization's goals and event, and he quietly uses the organization's resources to manipulating events and conflicts within human society so that the members of the founders will benefit their sole control over humanity, and he frequently clashes with the members of the Universal Heroes and with the Four Nation Hunters and with the World Heroes in the process. But he learns the hard way that he can never underestimate the ability and the successful talents in thwarting the operation of the members of the founders' goals and of their future plans in the process. And he learns from his failings, and he always learns from his failings, and he always takes them very lightly to learning every bit of his failings, not to repeat them ever again, which makes him a super strategist and a highly greater tactician as well. Very resourceful, very highly influential, very controlling of the organization's greatest followers and new recruits, but also quietly teaches them ways of great discipline and teaches them many lessons of how not to not to actually underestimate the reality of the world itself as well and the reality of the sacred world. And he quietly understands the great conflict of the sacred worlds, the great conflict of the supernatural, the great conflict of the supernatural sacred worlds, wars, and everything else that are quietly, literally happening, and the calamity of new prophecies and new powerful, ancient, godlike beings returning, and all of that, which he understands exactly what's literally coming, is highly bigger and more highly dangerous. World Knight quietly never known or understood the original Lord of Magic's goals or mission, but he recently heard the news about his passing after he quietly joined the organization's group as the enforcer of the group itself, of the founders, but he never quietly actually understood the original Lord of Magic's goals or any of that, but he never quietly knew him because he was quietly born inside human society, but he was also quietly granted with the power of great super strength and super speed, highly greater enhanced agility and immortality, and great immortality powers and long gravity as well. It is due to the long gravity and immortality powers that World Knight is the most dangerous and most formidable assassin throughout the entire world itself as well. That the members of the United Heroes of Quietly actually managed to highly rank him as the most dangerous super criminal ever known throughout human history, and he's very highly dangerous, and he uses the wanted head pose of himself to hide within the shadows and also to concealing himself within the shadows as well. During his earlier life, World Knight was able to actually help another ancient, powerful, sinister criminal organization known as the Order of the Five to furthering its goals and long-term plans in a process. Despite that, he still utilizes their resources and their connections due to him sharing a personal goal with the members, and he still actually respects the members of the Order of the Five, and he always will always respect the members of the Order of the Five. He's a super strategist and a super tactician, very clever, highly thoughtfully calculated, highly good in analyzing and also anticipating a conflict or greater perception, also very quietly greater in high perception, and also very good in forming sinister, powerful alliances with other sinister super villains and super criminals, such as the founders, such as the founders partners, such as the founders partners, chief enforcers of the top alien empires and of the top alien empires, and any one of them they quietly partnering up with as well. Despite that, he also still remains in contact with the other associate of the ancient shadowy criminal organization of the Red Mask Man's organization, in order to exactly reassure them that the founders and their goals are still aligned, and that they do share a common interest, and that the balance of their goals remain the same no matter what. Regardless of that, World Knight does show greater true dedication to the organization's goals and obligation to the founders' goals and to their mission, and he will always remain loyal to them, and he will always make sure that they remain in power and in control over humanity and within the solar system and within the known universe and within the rest of sacred society itself, which is a hidden world and a hidden universe that is quietly far, far, far away from the solar system itself. Despite that, he understands the hidden wars conflict that is meant to be kept hidden, and he'll do whatever it takes to protect it. He's very good in protecting the founders, the ancient supervillain organization known as the founders' secrets and their plans and their goals to himself, as well as the Order of Darkness, which is another ancient criminal terrorist organization which works on the behalf of the founders, and he understands to keep their secrets and all of that to himself, and the rest of the other new recruits of the assassins do the exact same thing as well. Despite that, he frequently likes to fight and likes to battle, likes taunting his enemies, very skeptical, highly ambitious, also quite good in maintaining his also quite good in maintaining also quite good in maintaining his individual bases as well as his central headquarters, which is the Order of Darkness's base of operation, which is quite a big island, known as Sacred Valley, which is where the Order of Darkness's new recruits and assassins are able to be training in full secrecy and within the shadows as well. Despite that, World Knight does share tremendous respect of Eagle Man and of War Man himself, who are the members of the United Heroes and of the Universal Founders Leader and of the Four Nation Hunters themselves. He literally does share tremendous respect of his foes and of his adversaries, and Firebird is the one he completely respects above all the members of the Universal Heroes, because he shares a common personal relationship with Firebird's father, known as Ghostmaster, which is a very complicated relationship that the two assassins would always compete up against. So due to that, World Knight actually exactly is fascinated by Firebird becoming a superhero than rather to her becoming a supervillain due to her family ties, which World Knight was able to know that Black Mask and the Dark Witch Laura is Firebird's great grandmother and great father, who are the most powerful, terrifying, ancient supervillain couple, and that his mother is a great superhero and her father is a super villain as well, which World Knight is quietly fascinated at the young hero rising to occasion to a full power and to a full potential in becoming a full-fledged hero and a high-ranking member of the superhero organization known as the Universal Heroes. He respects the original members of the Universal Heroes, shares tremendous respect about them, and he doesn't go as far not to killing them, but he'll do whatever it takes to make sure that the founders' goals and their sole activity bear fruit, no matter what. Well, guys, that's it for today's episode. I'll actually see you tomorrow as well. Have a great blessed day and a great evening, and enjoy yourself and take care of yourself as well, and stay happy and stay true. Your support means the universe to me, and I'm very grateful for it, guys. So stay happy and like and subscribe if you can from YouTube and from TikTok and from shorts, which you'll find as well there. And as well, have a blessed, great day and a blessed evening. Today's episode is World Knight, a supervillain, and as well as an enforcer of the founders. That's it for today. I'll see you tomorrow on Tuesday. Take care and have a blessed day and a blessed week. Love you and have a great, great day. See you tomorrow on Tuesday. Like and subscribe, guys. Like and subscribe. Bye. Bye.